cameraman.
Thank you, Nigel. A 3-point question, and it's about trees.
We've done well.
Firstly,
It's half past 8 gone. It's our first actual tree question. I'm impressed.
Firstly, how can we change the council policy of chopping down mature, healthy trees? Secondly, why are the council not using the engineering solutions available to them so that when a curb is slightly out of alignment because of the tree, or if there's slight ripples on the pavement because of the tree, why aren't we using things like FlexiPave, which should be available within the contract? And thirdly, why are the council wasting so much money on the independent tree panel when the council then completely ignore what they suggest? Thank you.
We're starting with Rob, and I recognise that he is rather playing to his strengths, but we're just doing it alternately. So, Rob.
Thank you. It's not sustainable what's happening now. We've had examples in the last week, really, where you've had 4 crews going to try and catch an undefended tree before the protesters get there. There were 4 on Aberfield Road, for example, in Burnley. We've had a tree chopped down on Albany Road just earlier this week. The tree protesters are not going to go away. There may be a smaller number who will actually be out there prepared to cross the barriers, get arrested or not get arrested these days, but they are a tip of an iceberg, and they represent very, very deep sentiment. And it's not a NIMBY middle-class issue. It's something. There's some research that indicates that trees living in a green environment can increase your life expectancy by 7 years. And that's not to mention all the benefits around reducing the temperatures on days like yesterday, reducing the risk of flooding by slowing down the water, the flood runoff rates and so on. And just general mental health and actually providing a cleaner environment, filtering the nitrogen dioxide and so on. I thought this question might be coming up, so I did actually bring a visual aid. So I'm a great fan of bubble wrap. People saw me popping it and thought, perhaps they thought I was nervous at the beginning, I might have been. But basically, if you imagine, you probably can't see from where you're sat, but imagine each of these bubbles represents £1 million. Sorry, £1,000. Okay. Let's get this right now, £1 million, okay. It's a lot, it's big figures, and people get bamboozled by figures, and I do as well. So I think it's sometimes quite helpful. So each of these bubbles is £1 million, okay? Here are 1,000 bubbles. Sorry, 2,000, these are 2,000 bubbles here. So that is £2 billion. That is the size of the council contract with Amy, okay? Second, Exhibit B is, okay, it's 25 and I've torn them, but the 25 million is the real sort of top limit that Julie Dore, when pressed, would say it would cost to save probably 300 street trees in the worst condition. If I break a tiny bit off, so we've got half a million, that's 500,000. That is the amount that the independent arborists employed by Stag reckon it would cost. So let's be fair, it's probably somewhere in between. When you look at that, you know the difference. If you fold this in half, that's the council revenue budget. So it's still quite small. It's significant. Don't get me wrong. The council is an environment of horrendous cuts, and we've done the worst possible thing by having so many private contracts. PFI agreements. The finance chap, Eugene. I always say careful with that act, Eugene. If anyone knows that reference. He was director of finance in the council. He talked about the graph of doom. The graph of doom is basically, externally, national government is cutting the revenue support grant, and at the same time, so you're getting cuts from the outside, at the same time you've got rising costs from your contracts with Veolia, with Amy, with others. So you get a point where the two graphs meet, then you've got no money left for adult social care, and that is why the government is lifting the cap, because they're recognising that local authorities are going to go under because they cannot cope financially with austerity. So, what I'm saying is, there is a cost involved. It's absolutely clear that people value these trees hugely. I met somebody the other day who said they'd taken 5 days off work to protect their tree, passionately, almost like members of the family, I don't exaggerate. And we need to recognise that, and until the council recognises that and gets people sat around the table, we are not going to make progress. It's just going to cost more and more taxpayers' money, and we're going to get more into this cat and mouse situation. There are creative solutions. People have come forward and said, what about if people started raising money through various means to support their trees? Because there are 14 out of 25 solutions, engineering solutions, that are covered by the contract. It's only 11, which might include flexi-pay and so on, which aren't, which might include need a bit of extra income. We've got to treat our trees as proper assets, value them more than our roads, more than other things. And, not everything, but they are a very, very important part of the mix. We talked about lungs of the city before. So I would say, if I was elected, I would want to get all the players around the table. That has been done many, many times, but I think the election would send a very clear shot over the bounds. It's not going to harm Labour as a local authority. They've got a very large majority, but it would really give a very strong message. And it might protect their seats next year if they deal with it now rather than leaving it till next year.
Thank you, Rob.
I'm going to start with Rob's final point, because I think that's my starting point here. I do think that the current position is not sustainable. I think that we do need a kind of a discussion that I think has ceased being had between people who are feeling passionate about the trees, between the local authority and its contractual responsibility. But also I think there's a third component in this that is often getting left out, which is those people who are living in kind of some streets within this ward who are wanting the kind of tree replacement programme to continue. And we know that there's been tensions within some streets here, and I think that it is tragic that if we're allowing this failure to communicate to actually impact on community cohesion. I think it's just criminal if that's allowed to happen. So we do need to kind of look at ways in which that we kind of get people listening and talking to each other again. So I think it's also not just listening, but people are kind of shouting at the moment as opposed to talking. And I think that we need to examine both the kind of technical kind of solutions that may be around, identify those areas where there is agreement on trees that are coming down. And I think there are obviously some what might be seen as extreme positions that somehow, or no tree can come down. But I think the majority of people recognise that there needs to be a rational response. We need to get back to that rational response. I think the issue about the independent tree panel is a very interesting one, because I've been doing, in a sense, my head anticipating this question as well. I've been doing my homework, and I'm left thinking, well, what is actually the role of the independent tree panel in terms of if it's, my experience, another life is that, having advisory groups that aren't listened to are worse than useless and actually counterproductive. So I'm not saying get rid of the independent tree panel, but that panel needs to be looking not just at the voices that are kind of well articulated, but also community voices that are less so. And finally, I just want to kind of pick up the issue of, because I think you quite rightly raised the issue of Rob about social care. I mean, the position that the local authority is in terms of its current revenue account is done out. The fact that it may or may not but should have got into these kind of contractual arrangements, but the fact is at this point it is in these contractual arrangements, and there needs to be maybe an objective look as to maybe how it could get out of them or not, if that is desirable. But I think it's premature to say at this point that they should be.
Thank you. Shane.
Can I add to the previous two? I mean, some great work there from Jim, I must say. But one of the things that we've seen is that when the councillor who has now stood down, the Labour councillor, actually voted against Julie Dawes' command, was put on garden leave for a month. You need courage and commitment to do that, Jim. And it's easy to talk about all these things that we want to do and we want to achieve, but the issues that have come up time and time and again, this isn't a new issue now, it's going on for well over 18 months now, is that the Labour Council is not listening to the people. We've come on to loggerheads now with the tree campaigners, with the Labour councillors on the one extreme, and we're not meeting in the middle anymore. And me, I've been involved from the start as well. I think what we have to do, we have to be progressive, we have to move forward. This can't carry on like it is. We've seen the community tensions on St. Bernard's Road. And I've spoken to many people on St. Bernard's Road. They have real issues with trees on their road in regards to roots coming down to their cellars, water coming into their cellars. We have to look at some of the trees on a case-by-case basis. Mealy or Sheldon Road, a couple of those trees definitely need to come down. They encroach onto the main road itself. It's very dangerous. But we've now got to the point where no tree is being allowed to be cut down unless it's dead, really dead, it needs to go. I think we all need to come around the table, be mature about this. The tree campaigners, all the three parties, well, four parties, UKIP if they want to be, get around the table and sit down and look at, you know what, we need to see this contract. What is it that Labour Council can't get out of? You know, what did they sign up to that they can't get out of? You know, if they tell us, and I'm sure we can then look at a solution going forward together as the whole of Sheffield, rather than, we're at this loggerheads now where it's getting tired. I'm tired, I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of this. You know, I know people are tired. There's people who do want trees gone on some of the roads, and we have to respect their wishes as well, to a certain extent, depending if it is doing harm to that road or to the house or boundary wall, etc. But you know, we're at an impasse now where it's coming. It's like, where do we go from here? There's no solution, neither from the council. You know, there's supposed to be a tree strategy that should have come out, God knows when. I think it was about 6 months ago, 8 months ago. That's not seen the light of day. You know, who's responsible? Tate Fox has gone. We've got somebody else, Brown Lodge. What do we do now that we move forward? I mean, we can talk all we want. We can stand here and say, look, this is what I'm going to do. We'll shout for you, you know, we'll go there and bang our heads against the wall, but it has to be done across party now. It's come to that stage that we have to get somebody else involved. Or I don't know the solution to that. I mean, if it was me, I'd grab some leaders of each of the parties, sitting around the table and say, with the tree campaign, and say, you sort out a solution, then come back to us. I'm flummoxed, I'll be honest with you.
Thank you, Shane. I have time for only one more question. So, Graham, Alison, if I establish you and yourself, I see Graham wants to come back in.
I just want to make a quick point about what Jim said, if I may, and that's about community cohesion. I believe it was the council's survey that actually split residents, asking residents on a particular street if they want to save their trees or not. Set neighbour against neighbour, and that was dreadful and shameful, and that shouldn't have happened.
Now we come to the last question, and by pure fluke or careful design by Alison here,